Judah, what happened to your eyes, man?
The alcohol, he took a drink like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Whatever that was, that's pretty powerful.
Took his cyanide capsule the moment he entered the hallway.
Yeah.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Stoneface Reactions. I'm Theta, this is Lessons, and we are back with another episode of Mobile Suit Gundam. You know what? I didn't bring the board up on the overlay. Let's go ahead and do that. Also, it occurred to me that since I've pre-written out all of my thoughts, I should probably go first so that we don't double down. Like, you talk about a thing for like 10 minutes that I have a whole thought written out for, but I can't remember it off the top of my head, so just gonna do it again later.
Notes before we start, yeah.
Well, I mean, I have them.
Yeah, I usually don't. I should go back, watch, and read and do notes, but I'm too lazy. That's why.
Well, I'm not going to ask anyone to take all the extra effort that I do. I run the channel essentially, so I'm expected to do all this extra stuff.
I'm gonna do the notes for myself because I want to, don't want to misremember stuff like, oh no, this guy totally died, was torn to shreds when he fell. I was like, no, that didn't happen. I was like, but I'm really sure that I watched it. That didn't happen.
I don't think that's going to stop happening. We're gonna both
look. Should happen. Literally, it should happen less. It should happen less.
We've had these things where I've like watched the episode just that morning, and you're like, no, that didn't happen. I'm like, oh god, am I wrong? So we're just those people.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, my very first thought actually goes to the board. So I went through the board and I switched all of the origin faces I had on the Mobile Suit Gundam section with their 1979 appearances. So no longer is it all of these origin faces on the characters that appeared in both. Now they have all their old school faces except for Howard, who apparently doesn't have a face in Mobile Suit Gundam 79. William Kemp, obviously, because he is only shown running into the bunker before he gets killed.
Yeah, by an air missile. From his own side, by the way.
Yeah. I don't think there's anybody else who doesn't have an image from this one.
Here's Haru with his hands.
Yep, that is. Everybody else is... Except for maybe, Denim. Denim might actually still be. I can't remember if that face comes from Origin or the other one. I might have just forgot about Denim.
I think those two, Denim and Jean, are both from... No.
I think Jean is 79. From Origin.
79, but you can tell by how they animated, they drew the visor thing. It's much closer. Well, here it just seems to be like a distinct piece, which is more modern.
Right. All right. Well, he's the only one then. Let's see, while we're looking at the board, we have Seki from last episode. I think it's Colonel Seki.
Yep.
Hob and Clink, who Hob was in one of the goofs. Sorry, one of the goofs. Mm-hmm. Clink was piloting the surfboard underneath the goof. Well, him and some other guy.
I saw nothing.
Yep, Colonel Clink. Mash is dead, obviously. We got Ortega and Miguel, who was still alive.
Yeah.
I believe Lang and Vice also got introduced 2 episodes ago. Sorry, some of these I don't remember how far back it's been since I added them to the board.
Was introduced two episodes ago.
And in Origin, technically.
Yeah, but
same
Rebel
as Judah.
Him. Yeah. No, well, yeah. No, Judah gets introduced talking to McQueef. We say McQueef, but they say it differently. And you have said that before, I know. Just for the record. And then later on, Elrond is talking to... No, Rebel turns to Elrond. It's like, oh, we got to move up the expedition, whatever. And then Elrond goes out of the room and goes to Judah and goes like, you better tell McQueef that this is happening.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be impossible for me to change how I say that guy's name until he's dead, in which case it won't be a problem. I'm just going to assume that McQueef is going to be one of the characters that dies. I don't know why. It just seems likely. Otherwise, I don't think there's any other changes other than I've added a line from Kai to Matilda. Oh yeah, Matilda's dead, obviously. I didn't think I had to say that, but since I'm covering all bases. With a little purple arrow, because obviously he had a crush. He said as much.
Now, all the guys had a crush on her, but yeah, Amuro, yeah, really got it bad.
Oh yeah, last episode we saw he was screaming her name. Anyway, yeah.
A 1980s power ballad.
So yeah, on to the thoughts. Unless you have anything else you want to bring up about the board.
I mean, you said Howard over here. Yeah, his picture is from the new one. I double check.
No, it's from
And
Origin.
you included, yeah, it's from Origins.
But
and
we
you
saw
included him, Maximilian, who was in the back of the vehicle of the Jeep when they were trying to get out.
Well, because Maximilian was on the board before.
Yeah,
the entire Kai crew was on the board before, but Howard, I guess, wasn't on the. They weren't defecting; they were just going to join another Earth Forces unit, which I don't know. Maybe that's still defecting. It's abandonment of post at the least.
It is abandonment of post. It could still be defecting. You don't get to switch units just because you feel like it. Oh yeah, that guy is kicking ass. I'm gonna go over there, and your commanding officer like.
Technically, there's this thing where we've had a discussion before if Rebel considers them to be soldiers, and he does. And somewhere in my notes here, I have a whole thing about how Rebel calls them irregulars. Irregulars might be able to switch their posting because they're not regular units. They have no official designation or posting. It's like being a militia unit and trying to join the regular army.
No, you know what? I'll tell you why.
Of course,
because
there we go.
Even though you might be classified as a militia or a regular unit, if your commanding officer requires a certain unit to be in a certain place to do something, you can't have a situation where like, oh yeah, like 15% of that unit just goes to another unit, because it's not merely matter of the unit, but it's also capabilities, it's numbers, it's abilities to do everything. So like 15, if it's a mechanized unit and all the infantry part of the mechanized unit decides, no, we're going to join the airborne because they're cool like that, but we're an irregular mechanized unit. Maybe
okay, I'm gonna interrupt you real quick, only to not defend myself, but correct where I went wrong before you get there to educate me. When I was saying irregulars, while you were trying to tell me all this stuff, I just Googled real quick. I just didn't consider irregulars the actual definition. I was going based on the word and trying to use it in context. Yeah, I didn't realize that irregulars are part of the military. I thought that they were like militia. I thought they were like militia. A militia isn't part of the military. It is an armed force of civilians that get together. So I thought by being a regular that they weren't part of the military. So when I said, oh, they could just go and join whatever, or try to, I was thinking of it in the way of, yeah, if you like formed an armed militia and then decided you wanted to join the army, that's where I was from. Obviously, I'm wrong, because irregulars are part of the military. I didn't understand that irregulars meant their tactics.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, I have so many notepads. All right. Something I appreciate about the vast majority of the deaths so far is that they are not glorified. They often feel like something that just happened. Case in point, Matilda last episode. She's trying to support the fight and is mid-giving orders when the cockpit gets smashed, killing her. There wasn't any build-up, no final speech or call to action. She was just doing what she could do, and then she wasn't anymore. Now, obviously there are exceptions. Garma comes to mind, but those were narrative-driving deaths, rather than one meant to show the callousness of the battlefield.
I mean, yeah, most people just die. That's just the way it is in Gundam, which is, it's like, there's not a up yours moment here, at least not so far.
Again, I guess Garma would be the example again.
or not Kai.
No, Kai's not dead.
No, not Kai. Who's that? I forgot his name already. Ryu could be considered that.
Yeah. I mean,
It was a deliberate act, so he meant.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with you. I was just thinking he does scream right before it happens, but I mean, yeah, it is sudden. And they don't show the build up to it happening. We get the build up of it happening at the crying on the ground bit. It's my fault he died, and we flash back to him getting in the thing. It's like, no, I shouldn't have let him do this. So we see all the build up after he's dead, which is a way to do it, I guess. All right. 2 corrections. I had said that the G-Fighter had been carried out from the Gunperry on some sort of vehicle. You were right. That was just the G-Fighter itself. It looked confusingly different head-on, and that's what I got wrong.
I mean, to be fair, it's like a mismatch of vehicles because it has a Gundam in it. It's a fighter, but also has tracks, so it can be a tank.
Well, it is technically
fly.
2 different, because you call it G-Armor when it's in tank mode. But no, it's the head-on. It has this head-looking thing that looks like the front of a Gunperry, and it's like, I thought it was like, oh, the Gunperry has some sort of mobile track system thing too. Like, no, that's just the fucking G-Fighter.
It looks like a bald eagle kind of situation. Like, you can almost, if this was an American animation, you could almost hear the eagle screaming, which usually is not an eagle. It's like a hawk they use. Like, you could just remake that scene with that thing with the hawk screaming, like, here comes the American eagle, G.I. Joe style, right?
At the end of the episode, you had said Mash's Dom got caught in the explosion of Matilda's Medea, and that's what killed him. Ortega is the one that smashes Medea's cockpit, killing Matilda and causing the explosion. He gets away just fine. Amuro cuts open Mash's Dom, causing it to explode and killing Mash separately from Medea's explosion. Now the craters could have merged into one. I don't know about that, if that's what you were talking about at the end.
I mean, they were looking down at this massive crater, so for a moment, I thought that would have been the same. Or it could have been that he was down, and now he
was on the ground when Amuro cuts him in half, so wherever he exploded. I mean, who's to say that he didn't explode in one spot, and then the Medea comes crashing down in the same spot to explode? I don't know, but I did study, like you said, you tell on the board who killed who, because MASH, you can travel on up, and anyway. Just correcting that, not that it matters. One of the harder things to consider is the toll all of this is taking on the actual children on the ship. It's one thing for the young adults that are fighting this war to have to deal with the ramifications of their actions, but Kika, Katz, and Let's are actual children that have gone from playing in lakes with their friends to watching old people fight about personal freedom, and, well, so many graves being left behind them. The young adults are old enough to at least come to grips with what they are doing, but these 3 kids are having their early lives shaped by it. I'll be interested to see what becomes of them if they show up in future series as teenagers or adults.
A lot of therapy, although I don't know if there's any therapists in the Gundam universe.
I can't remember. It was something that came to my mind. You said a lot of therapy, and there was some show I was watching being reacted to or talked about, and they were explaining away the actions of one of the characters by the constant PTSD that they must have experienced when they were younger based on something in the show, and I cannot now remember the show I was listening to, but the idea that a person could become something else because of PTSD experience when they were young does ring true here.
I mean, sure.
Well, I mean, they're constantly, like, saluting at graves. Mm-hmm. There were 3 episodes that we've seen them, oh no, are we leaving them behind? Said at looking at a grave. It's like... the goofs we see in the last 2 episodes using the axes seems like just a bad call. we've seen how much more effective the whip has been against multiple of the Federation mobile suits. Plus, it has greater range. If anything, they should use the axe in their offhand and use the whip with their main hand. Or, I guess, give them double whips, like Whiplash from the MCU.
I think not. That's only for those. I think the whip is from those goofs, but it's not standard operating equipment.
The one that we saw, I want to say 2 episodes ago, that had the axe, also had a whip. It's just in the same arm. So he's using the... There's like no reason that the goof should be main-handed. The goof should... It's a machine.
Didn't that whip get caught by
Here's the thing. It whips around his arm. Amuro shoots it, breaks it, and then he whips him again, because apparently having a broken whip doesn't mean anything. And that's the one where Amuro gets whipped around the middle, can't figure out what to do, drops the gun, pulls out the... I almost said lightsaber. Almost pulls out the beam saber? Is that what it's called?
It's a beam saber.
Yeah, almost pulls out the beam saber and then kills the guy right there as he's being pulled in. But
which is interesting because it's called beam saber to be, legally distinct from a lightsaber, and the lightsaber essentially is a sci-fi version of a katana. So, swings and roundabouts.
Yeah, I mean, it's all copyright.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, like I said, the whip, like the dude had minor effectiveness with the axe. He pulls the whip out of his arm. Boom, he's got the guy, like, restrained. If he had another whip, he could have restrained the arm, pulling out the beam saber, would have been over. And that was just an ordinary dude. That wasn't like Ramba Rawl, in a goof. That was just ordinary Zeon soldier. So the goof is super effective. Just don't start using secondary weaponry. Despite Elrin being a double agent, he brings up a valid question when Revel tells Matilda to bring the G-Fighter to White Base, which is, why is he giving a group of irregulars these things and not their own soldiers? Revel says that they can't use regular military for experiments, which makes me think that they must be worse off than it would seem. Historically, regular military took part in military experiments in the real world, but more than that, there would be an entire R&D division of the regular military handling these things, experiments included. Look at things from Zeon's side. We already know they are rushing their prototypes through R&D and into production based on that mine attack episode. Who shows up in the new models? Regular Zeon military.
I mean, I think the thing is that I think the G-Armor is not yet in mass production. So you would have to have a specific unit to test it in combat when you already have the white base with the Gundam, which is what it's built for. Might as well use
I'll be
them
honest,
for that.
what I was trying to think of here when I was saying that we use regular military in experiments, Bikini Atoll. Bikini Atoll is what I was thinking of, specifically that they put all the ships around Bikini Atoll when they were testing, and they had crews on the ships. And when they had to get rid of the radioactive material on the ships, they just had the crews mopping the fucking decks. There wasn't specialty crew out there that they had to take off the front lines or something. No, it was just normal guys who had no idea what the fuck was going on.
And that proved to be deadly for a lot of those sailors there.
Yeah, but I mean, this is also kind of... It's not of the era, obviously. It's like... I don't know. When was Bikini Atoll?
1950, I think it was. 1948, 49.
I would say it's only like... Okay, I thought it was like 60s. I would say it's only like 10 years out from the writing of this.
1946, actually.
No,
there were multiple tests, but
the
first test was 1946, all the way to 1958. With the detonation of 23 nuclear weapons in the same place.
Right. Well, I mean, it's like 20 years out. About 20 years out then from the writing of this. But still, based on people who were inspired by the horrific events of the era that they lived through. Tamino lived through some wars. But, my point being is that it is normal military soldiers and whatnot to have to go through this shit of testing materials, even if they don't know what's going on.
But I think it also the fact that they were going for. I mean, they may not have their own. We don't see any other Gundams, and I'm going to stop there. I'm not going to say.
Look, I understand. You're obviously. Here's the problem: is that my mind obviously extrapolates from what you're saying. So, there's other Gundams. Is that what I have to think? But I'm not focusing on. Literally, I was doing the editing on the seed thing the other day, and I'm thinking, oh god, Lesson spoiled something for me by cheating and looking at a wiki. Oh, at least I can't remember what that is. And then instantly I'm editing the seed thing. It's like, oh, god damn it, it's right here. I remember now. Because literally my whole thing was, if I can't remember, then it'll never come back to me and I'm safe. Nope, instantly right back in my fucking head. Anyway, yeah, my problem is that I can't help but extrapolate anything that you say that you instantly backtrack on. But also the element of, obviously, they're the main characters of the show, so they're going to be getting the cool new stuff. At the same time, maybe if you really wanted to test this stuff, you didn't ship it across Zeon-controlled territory, that would possibly all get shot down. You know, if you really want to test it, you're about to go into this huge combat scenario. Maybe just give one of your guys that are going there.
Okay, let me put it this way. I will say that from memory, there are discrepancies for what they show here from they show in other shows. And that's all I'm going to say.
Well, of course.
Yeah, that's...
All right, moving on. In the English dub, Bright says that he wrote down the basics of command for Mirai to study, instead of the implication that it's just some sort of pre-written material that he is passing along.
I like to believe that there are already existing manuals, because this is like, oh, you want to operate a Gundam? Here's a book. You want to be the captain of the white base? Here's a book. You know, you want to go to the space toilet? Here's a book.
I mean, it's kind of silly, but I mean, it also makes sense, because obviously, if you were training to be the captain of a ship, you'd probably have to go to some sort of command school. The command school is going to have, training material. But I don't know. When she takes the manual in her hand and it has like little block thing on the top, which obviously would be like the title notation and all the other stuff of an officially printed manual, that you can see it on when she's holding it, and the idea that Bright in his sick bed here has been like, let me just trace a square. I can write my name here. I don't know. At the same time, though, I kind of prefer the idea that he wrote this specifically for her.
It could be an old-fashioned notebook. The ones that have the window in the front, so you can write what the course here is for the.
I don't know. It seems to be all paper, because we see her like she must have torn it apart too, because it seemed binded when he handed it to her, or when she picked it up, and then on the bridge she's just like going through papers. So I don't know. All right. Does McQueeve have a glass eye? It might sound like a strange thought, but when he says the one that acts first loses, we pause and get a lens flare sparkle from his eye. He didn't say anything that normal anime moments would have given a sparkle for. This show is also never given a sparkle for anything else either. The only things that shine are objects. So I'm thinking that maybe McQueeve has something odd with his eye.
A glint of his eye, as it were.
We've never done that with any other character. Literally, like, Sayla hasn't, like, do you know anything about Char? Like, something. There hasn't been anything for any other character. Then suddenly, out of nowhere, McQueeve just gives out, like, the one that acts first or loses. Pause for, like, 2 seconds, and then 2 seconds later, we go back into the scene. It's like, what the fuck was that? So I'm thinking that maybe it's an artificial eye, because the only other things that glow have been like the Gundam's eyes, or things made of metal in the distance. So I don't know, I'm just trying to look for meaning. The more Gundam stuff I see where the mobile suits have a Green Goblin style surfboard going through the air, the less impressed I feel with Eureka 7.
I mean, Kawamori has worked on Gundam stuff too. Shoei Kawamori, who worked on Macross, and he also worked on Eureka 7. So yeah, they, that's not necessarily new. The only thing about Eureka 7 is that they're surfing the currents of this energy thing that is in that planet for some reason, or I think it's supposed to be
When
Earth.
Eureka 7 came out and I saw it, I hadn't seen a lot of Gundam. By which I mean, I guess maybe I'd seen G Gundam, which I don't think has any surfing things, which ironic, because you think that'd be the one. Who's famous for surfing? Let's say the Hawaiian Gundam would have shown up or something,
Yeah.
Or the Australian Gundam, I guess, but Australia has so many stereotypes to pull from. That thing, which has been a monster of stereotypes. That Eureka 7 for me, I guess, one, the whole theming off of music, but also the fact that it's surfboarding through the air. And then I've come to watch all these Gundams now where they all have this thing. Even Witch from Mercury, like near the end, they surfboard down from space. So it's like, God, what the hell? Matilda was 180 kilometers out from White Base when they called for help, at which point Kai launched in the gun cannon on foot to help her. 3 minutes later of screen time, he shows up and kills Clink. I was going to make some sort of joke of Kai, or about Kai being Sonic the Hedgehog in the gun cannon, but then I started doing math. I got as far as comparing the core fighter to a modern jet's top speed, wherein it would have only crossed about 63 kilometers in the on-screen time it took Amuro to launch from the White Base to arriving at the fight. By the way, this is based on the fact that a modern-age jet fighter at top speed moves by, twice the speed of sound?
Depending on the jet, yeah.
Yeah, so I was doing the math based on that. So he would have only crossed 63 kilometers, which would have implied that the Medeas had crossed the remaining 117 kilometers in the same amount of time, meaning these turbine-propelled bricks would be faster than the core fighter. Accepting that it all falls apart from there, I gave up on mathing out the joke.
Yeah.
Well, I'm trying to figure out, obviously, the Medeas are moving towards us, so we can't just assume that he ran 180 kilometers in 3 minutes. So how far did they move? Well, we can't know that for certain, but we'll know exactly how far Amuro possibly got to when he caught up with them. That's about a minute and 10 seconds of on-screen time. If he's moving at twice the speed of sound in the core fighter, that's 63 kilometers, which is less than half the distance. It's it's a little over 1/3 of the distance, but also implies that, again, the flying bricks with turbine engines are moving twice as fast as he is. Visually, turbine engines. They could be some sci-fi. I don't know.
Yeah, still.
Yeah, either way.
Propellers wouldn't have gone more than, say, 300 miles per hour or more.
Either way, it doesn't make sense that they're moving more than twice the speed of sound. Still, Kai got there in 3 minutes, which implies that he's running at something over 1 time the speed of sound. You gotta go fast.
Well, he is blue.
Well, no, the gun cannon's red, so more of a... Well, the thing is that Knuckles isn't fast.
Gun tank is blue. The gun cannon is red, so yeah.
Yeah.
I got them confused, yeah.
Sorry, you were saying it, and it was like, wait, no, that's not right. And then you said gun cannon's red. I was like, oh, you said gun tank, and I instantly thought of gun cannon because we're talking about the gun cannon.
Yeah. I was wrong, yeah.
Instead of a love triangle 2 episodes back, we got a command triangle. Mirai, uncertain of what to do, but placed in command by Bright. Bright, driven to illness by fear, relinquishes command to Mirai. Sayla, hypercritical of both Bright and Mirai's choices, makes calls in Mirai's place and yells at her. I call it a triangle due to the animosity that I've read in the past between Sayla and Bright already. Each one contending with the other in their own way, believing they know it is the right thing to do. And slowly as the show progresses, earning each other's trust. In this case, Sayla yells at Mirai for being indecisive and having to make a call on her own. Then Bright in his bed says that Mirai can't he just can't wait and needs to order repairs, specifically due to the fact that Sayla's orders had everyone on high alert and waiting to be attacked in defense positions. Mirai then comes up with the correct orders on her own, and then Sayla, who has been giving her the stink eye the whole time, questions if that's the right thing to do. Even after all that, Sayla went out of her way to tell Mirai that she'd done a good job.
I mean, at the end of the day, they were still alive, so I guess that, well,
Like I said, it's a
let's
command
not
triangle.
open that kind of. I was going to open that kind of warm of not proving a negative again, but still.
You can prove a negative. I literally linked you a whole thing about multiple ways to prove negative. It's in fact, if you look, ironically, if you Google it, it's apparently only folk logic that you can't prove a negative. Again, things to go back to a previous conversation we had before we started recording. But no, the idea is that we have Sayla, who is staring down Mirai during most of the episode and then giving orders in Mirai's place, saying, if you're unhappy, just yell at me or whatever. Mirai, trying to do her best, given the command position by Bright, and doing what she thinks Bright wants her to do. Bright staring at all of them through a command window at the side of his bed, saying what the orders are, but not actually communicating with anybody. So I guess in that respect, that Bright is looking at both Sayla and Mirai. Mirai is looking at, Sayla is looking at Mirai, thinking about Bright, because obviously if she comes up at the end, she's happy that Mirai put Bright into a happier position, even though, she was lying to him.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, it's a command triangle where they're all looking at each other instead of a love triangle where two people are looking at one person.
True.
The difference between a number of shows that we've been watching lately.
Yeah.
So I guess the Zeon mobile suit power structure is DOMs, then Goofs, then Zaku 2s. I have to wonder where the old, over-designed Zaku 1s would fall into that.
I think they never got built.
Well, they did. Remember on the moon?
Yeah, but
those were Zaku 1s.
I mean, they didn't get mass-produced.
That doesn't matter. That's not my question. I'm talking about, like, one-on-ones sort of things here. Or not even one-on-ones, but DOMs are...
2s, but I don't think they're better than DOMs.
Well, you already... You skipped a whole middle... I said DOMs, then Goofs. Obviously, I'm working, this is the strongest, weakest. DOMs, then Goofs, then Zaku 2s, and then wondering where old Zaku 1s would wind up here. You're like, better than Zaku 2s, but not as good as DOMs. So, as good as a Goof?
Probably no. Probably a little less than a Goof. But better than a Zaku 2.
See, they've got overpowered reactors. They've got stronger armor. I don't know anything else about them other than those two things. Like I said, I don't know. Maybe the stronger armor is good enough to fight a Goof. We know that they were too good to mass produce. We know that the Goofs aren't too good to mass produce. Apparently the DOMs aren't either. In fact, my next comment is about Goofs. Goofs must be like Pintos. And for the non-American audience, I don't even know why, I assume Pintos went worldwide at some point. A Pinto is a brand of car made famous for catching fire from rear impacts. I make the comparison here because Amuro cut off Habe's leg in a Goof, which fell onto its back and promptly exploded for no reason.
Everything's a Pinto, if you really try.
Well, I'm just saying, all you did was cut off the leg of the mobile suit. It fell over and it literally landed on its back and exploded. No other mobile suit has exploded because it lost a limb.
Basically, what I'm saying, what I'm going to say is it's, how can I say this?
With words, hopefully.
Yes. But I think it's just a matter of just being clean on the animation. Like, oh, we're just gonna have it explode and that's it.
Except that we've had Amuro defeat mobile suits before and just left them behind without them exploding.
Yeah, but I think this time they're just like, you know what? There's too much going on. Have it explode.
Don't need to pay that voice actor anymore.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm just saying, It's the example of a goof falling on its back and exploding. No one else has done that. Kycelia gives McWeave credit for putting the mobile armor into practical use. I have no idea where that is coming from, unless that is a change from Origin to Mobile Suit Gundam. In Origin, the development and deployment of the mobile armors was done by a combo of Giran and Dozel. By the time McWeave would have started using them, they would have already been in use for quite some time.
Did we see a mobile armor in Origins? No.
What are you talking about?
So.
Yes.
Which one?
You forgot the Battle of Loom? The
No,
Battle
those are
on the
mobile
Moon.
suits. Those are all mobile suits.
Mobile suits
mobile
are
armor.
mobile armors are mobile suits.
No, they're distinct. A mobile armor.
No, a mobile weapon can be anything from a truck to a mobile suit. A mobile armor can be anything from, God, what was that weird half dome thing that McWeave was piloting, to a mobile suit. A mobile suit is like the end of the line on that whole mobile weapon, mobile armor, mobile suit. Like, technically, I think a tank is a mobile armor. This is something I had to dive into when I was making the unfinished poll that I was doing about what's the best mobile weapon in Gundam. The categories of descriptions on the Gundam wiki of mobile suit, mobile armor, mobile weapon. Because again, I put fucking trucks on that thing because they were listed in the category. You might not believe it, but nobody voted for the Jeep. What do you want? You want the Jeep, or do you want the Seed Victory? Alright, that was your 5 seconds to figure out. I'm moving on to the next thing.
Yeah, I think they're distinct, but no. There's also... Never mind.
When I'm doing my edits in the post, I typically find that there is a... Oh, God, I did the math earlier. It was usually like 10, 15 seconds where I'll say something and then I'll wait specifically for you to give an answer, and then it'll take 10 to 15 seconds for your answer to come through, and it's like, I'm cutting that out. I've been editing it down a little bit, which makes it weird because we just jump positions constantly, but from now on, if I think you're like Googling something real quick to prove me wrong, I'm moving on.
Okay.
Top of your head, man. These are reactions. Top of your head. I'm not Googling shit. Kycelia wants some sort of close combat mobile suits delivered to Char before he joins the Mad Angler Squadron for fighting on Earth. She says this right after discussing plans and stating that Zeon needs to win the war. But there is nothing to suggest that she is referring to Odessa, other than the previous discussion about McWeave and the resources he's provided Zeon during the siege. The only reason I have to believe that she is working on a separate operation would be that we have no indication from our spoiler-filled narrator that Char is going to show up in Odessa. Thus, he might be getting prepped to show up elsewhere.
Data rule. Move on.
Well, here's the other slight concern, is that the first 2/3 of Gundam Seed are inspired by Mobile Suit Gundam. So there's people I expect to die only because I feel like their counterparts have died in Seed.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I'm just kind of waiting for that to happen. But otherwise, I'm just kind of waiting for stuff that happened in Seed to happen. So.
Yeah.
In the English dub, the Black Tri-Stars are a bunch of rednecks.
Okay.
No, I mean literally, like they add specific words to give them like a tang to their you read the subtitles, and whatever you think the subtitles would read in a redneck version, add those words and they say them.
I think it's Wang, because Tang would be like the juice that you drink from powdered juice, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean that is specifically what Tang is, the orange astronaut drink. But I don't know. I think I've heard both things before, so both sound a little bit odd to me now. Either way, it was just funny to hear the Black Tri-Stars, and they just fucking sound like rednecks. As a Southern American myself, it was just like, what? And I don't mean like I don't mean like
English.
I don't mean like good old boys rednecks. I mean like Bayou, Louisiana rednecks. Like, yeah, these guys were like weird. It's like, what's going on?
And I thought it was interesting that the some animes were voiced in South Carolina. A lot of them also in Texas, but you know.
I don't know. Go one state over and you can be on the set of Walking Dead. When they get Sayla to pilot the G-Fighter, the excuse given for her to do it rather than Jobjon is that they needed someone with experience in mobile suits. Except that we've seen Jobjon pilot the gun tank before with Hayato, so he has experience too. Conceivably, he's just as good as Sayla is, in that Sayla got the Gundam wrecked once and did alright once, whereas Jobjon just did alright once.
But not by himself.
Depends. Depends on what you think they're doing down there.
Yeah.
Sayla and Amuro have this cute little moment where Amuro tells Sayla she can dock the modules and laughs because he says she's always told him the same thing. It's just, I can't help but remember back to the earliest episodes where Amuro said that Sayla couldn't pilot anything because she was a girl. How far we've come.
Yeah. You managed to kick ass, so you're no longer a girl to me, I guess.
I marked MASH as dead on the board because it looked like Amuro sliced him in half and then he exploded. But rewatching to take notes leaves me with a little doubt. For one thing, Ortega and Miguel have a post-fight conversation where they say that the Gundam destroyed MASH's Dom, not that it killed MASH. Additionally, the animation of their two Doms leaving the area through the trees, there is a third light right behind their two Doms following their formation. I have no clue what it is. It could be MASH, or it could be an animation error. I don't know. And then I've written down here a later edit. The narrator ruined it again. In the next time on, he says that they come back to avenge their fallen comrade. You know, in the same line that he says that the traitors get arrested and the Federation wins Odessa Day. Can't wait to see what happens this episode.
Yeah, this episode is going to be, yeah. I'm going to warn you, this episode is going to be a doozy. That's what I've been looking over for this episode for a very long time.
Well, it's more my point that the narrator tells us everything that happens. One, I had the question of, is MASH really dead? Nope. Narrator said he was dead. Narrator also says that we capture both of the traitors and that we win the day. So it's like, well.
Narrator literally took a gun and go like, oh, MASH, I just read the script. You're dead.
Well, I mean, he confirms it. If you had seen what I was looking at when
that'd be funny. That'd be funny. Like you have an anime, right? And the and you have aspects with the narrator. Narrator leads something like, oh, and next on, someone is this guy's already dead, and the guy's like scrolling away, and it's like, oh, what the hell? Gotta go follow the script.
I think we've discussed this before. That would be like Harmon Quest, where when they're animating what's actually happening, the GM is in the world. Like, he'll describe what's happening, and then the characters will look back at the GM. What? I don't know, man. So the idea that the GM is in the world with you, just kind of, making everything happen, but on the trip.
Yeah, but I think it would be like literally the narrator is reading the script. And next on, and he's like, oh hell. And he just walks over the guy, just shoots him in the head, just to make sure that it fits the script. Like, you can't go script, dude. That's not happening.
Like I said, I don't know how to handle the narrator anymore, though. Last episode, it was, well, Matilda dies. It's like, what? Like, it would have been a question for me, because Matilda doesn't die until the very end of the episode. Because, at this point, I'm like, how the fuck does she die? Why would she even leave the bridge right now? And it's like 4 minutes left in the episode. Like, how she had to go out of her way to die.
Yeah.
And she did. Well, I mean, literally, if the Dom, sorry, not the Dom. No, it was the Dom. If the Dom hadn't crushed the cockpit, she would have died anyway. The order that she was giving was to aim at the ground. She was literally going to crash into the ground to crash the Dom into the ground. So she would have just done the same thing on her own.
Yeah.
Except, actually, she would have probably killed the Dom that killed her, which actually was, what did I say, Miguel? I don't know. It's on the board.
Mash. It's Mash.
No, Mash died.
Mash died.
Yeah,
it would have been Miguel.
You remember the thing where I was correcting you that Max wasn't the one who did
it
that?
was Miguel, yeah.
The problem is that we keep repeating the wrong thing.
Because it's Mash, Ortega, and Miguel. Or no, actually Miguel. Is Miguel Ortega? Ortega is Ortega.
No, Miguel Guy is that guy's name. Again, we're on the board.
Yeah, no, you have two Spanish names. One is the last name. And then you have Mash. So it's like, okay, that's a mismatch right there.
But he's dead now. You don't have to worry about that anymore.
Yeah.
It's ironic because I thought Miguel was going to die only because of the image that they gave him on behind the voice actor. This image that looks like he's in pain, shouting up in the air or whatever. That happened last episode. That's just the look on his face during one part of the episode. Yeah, I mean, well, literally, it looks like he's just dying. Like, if you imagine, like, an explosion's about to happen, or he got, like, punched in the gut really hard or something, you know? Like, oh no, I've been stabbed! But no, that's just how he talked. Again, they made him a redneck in English. Makes more sense for that picture. All right, well, those are all of my thoughts. Do you have anything else on your side?
I'm looking forward to this episode.
All right, well, I guess nothing left then to get into it.
But before we get started,
make sure that you hit the like button,
hit that subscribe button,
comment down below to feed that algorithm.
On top of all that, if you want to watch more shows like this,
unfiltered,
uncensored,
and uncut,
as well as some early access stuff,
you can check it out over on the Patreon.
It's just $5 a month, but hey, no pressure.
There's zero pressure in order to do that. It's just a little bit of extra support, and it would be greatly appreciated.
I almost forgot my TV was at full volume. Apparently, I was reading the Gundam Seed notes. Mm-hmm. Apparently, the tradition, obviously not here, I don't expect this one to do it, but to shows of the Gundam Seed era, was to have 2 openings in a show. And Seed is the first one that has like 4. And that doesn't like really kick in until like Mobile Suit Gundam Build Fighters, I want to say, where they start having more than that. Because I know Iron Blooded Orphans has 4 as well. So I guess at some point we'll be getting, I think I already know that Zeta has 2. Only because I have seen people react to, all of Mobile Suit Gundam's openings. But I have very explicitly skipped over the shows I haven't watched yet, so I wouldn't be ruined to anything. So I don't even know what the main characters of all the shows I haven't watched look like yet. Let alone what the art style is. I guess the closest thing to a spoiler when it comes to those shows is that I've heard Double Zeta isn't any good. Again, it's only rumor. I mean, it's rumor for me because I have no experience yet.
Yeah.
マクベ隊の守る特殊鉱物資源の基地に対して地球連邦軍の攻撃が決定された。オデッサ作戦の開始である。レベル将軍は全軍をマクベ隊に向けて発進させるのだった。
Which is half of the Federation forces? If Origin's still in play, but it's been several months since then, so I don't know if they've redistributed.
ホワイトベースはマチルダ隊の協力を得て戦線に復帰をしたものの、マチルダをはじめとして多くの犠牲を強いられたのだった。
Yeah, it must have been animation error. Can you see that little piece of white following my base up? Yeah. That same sort of thing was happening with the 2 Doms going in the woods. It's like, what the hell is that light following them? Yeah, no, I mean, it probably is.
Yeah.
That they had a cell with 2 Doms and they just moved it through the woods and it turned out to be one little white thing that was who's following them? He had a giant head and a little body.
Like a baby that didn't grow up. Or maybe grew up too fast. Matilda toying with the boys.
アムロ。はい。いけないわよ、アムロ。出撃命令が出ているわ。行きましょう。はい。大丈夫？
What are you angry at me for?
I don't think he's angry. He's
If
more
I
like, I
saw
don't have
somebody
time for
looking
this.
at me with that face, like, what the fuck did I do?
了解です。ギアマン発進するぞ。ブラボー、下がって。
I nearly blasted her apart. Like, get back. Boom.
アムロ、マチルダさんの運んでくれたガンダムのパワーアップパーツ、少し鳴らし運転させてもらうわよ。
どうぞ、セイラさん。そうしてください。
They say, aren't you're in there?
すいません、ブライトさん。
ああ、気をつけてくれよ。
はい。
何もしなくていい。外からの SOS が入ったら知らせてくれ。
はい、わかりました。
Implying that Sailor's been doing nothing the whole time.
Fried chicken deployment. I mean, I know this is Japan and all that, but I didn't know there was a Christmas episode. If there was any doubt that, you know, Mash was dead, the rifle with the helmet on top.
Yeah, the narrator, I spoiled it.
シリア様の推薦があった兵士とはいえ、いつまで無駄な時間を潰しておるのか。ガイア、オルテガ、作戦は開始されているんだぞ。
分かっておるわい。言われずとも敵討ちはさせてもらう。
敵討ちではない。我が軍の後ろを乱そう。
That's what Ramba was for, and I already got him killed. Wait, I mean...
分かっておる。オルテガ、出撃するぞ。
Is Gaia Ortega?
Miguel. It's Miguel Gaia.
Miguel Gaia and something Ortega.
No, I mean Miguel Gaia is his full name. Ortega is only Ortega.
Yeah.
Because Gaia was the one that Ramba meets first when Ortega and Mash were doing in the prototype mobile suits.
もう一度だけタッチ&ゴーを。
Technically, Gaia is the only one that I know that Ramba knew.
暗号変調回路アルファゲイン受信します。レビル将軍です。
何？レビル将軍から。ホワイトベースは6時30分。マクベの基地の後ろから突入せよか。フラウボ、G アーマーに連絡して戻るように伝えろ。クロスサイクル WF でな。
はい、WF ですね。できるのちゃんと。できるわよ。静かにしてなさい。
So it's literally not a position you could just sit down in and not know anything about. I mean, she was already talking about like frequencies and everything, so
Yeah.
you gotta have some knowledge.
セイラさん、高度を下げてください。見つかったかもしれません。
了解。プロペラ機のようね。よくわからないけど、ジオンにはない。
It's Hikaru. He's on his way to the circus.
キャッチしました。ドラゴンフライ。
What's that? It's Wing Gundam, apparently. I heard it transforming.
ジオンの基地から出てきたんでしょう。撃ち落とされもしないで。
妙ね。ホワイトベースからだわ。地球戻られたしか。アムロ、どうする？
気になりませんか、セイラさん。
なるわ。行きましょうか。
Disobeying orders. It's what Amuro was good at. Also convincing other people to do it.
そういえばマチルダさんが言ってたな。ミディアの動きがジオンに筒抜けのようだって。
スパイ？ありえるわね。
確かにな。しかし、スパイのためにミデアがやられたとすれば、その実態は作戦開始前までにはつかみたいものだ。
Well, he agrees and disobeying orders, so yeah.
なんだと？ まっすぐ来ている。
はい。このコードでキャッチされるはずがないのに。
やはりスパイがいるという証拠ね。
対空戦闘用意。ガンタンク、ガンキャノン、出撃用意。
ちょっと作戦予定時間より早いじゃないかよ。
敵がこっちの都合を考えてくれるものが無駄弾を撃つなよ。
So I'm glad everybody on the ship can just like
Give bright lip. Yeah.
yeah, argue against orders. Thank God nothing's been so pressing as of yet.
Amuro, 見て、連邦軍のビッグトレイに着艦したわ。
How did they get found out? Oh, they literally flew a prop plane from the Xeon base to the Federation base. I wonder who's on there. Probably Judok.
ホワイトベースのガンダムです。僕はアムロ・レイ。
ガンダムこれがか。
そんなことより、今ここに着艦したドラゴンフライ、連絡機のパイロットはどこにいるんですか？
ジュダックの連絡のことだ。
Well, who would have guessed?
作戦開始と同時に裏切れとのことです。
How these two didn't get caught before is beyond me.
将軍の攻撃はないもの。
I'm not gonna say anything because this just gets better and better by the second.
分かっておる。
Well, he literally flew from the direction of the Xeon base. He didn't even like do a circle. You know?
怪しいもの。
Oh, that's how he got away with it. None of those guys have eyes.
Yeah.
諸君らは下がってよろしい。
Boom, boom, boom. It's a wall.
ジュダック、お前も
Judok, what happened to your eyes, man?
話次第ではな。
The alcohol, he took a drink like, whoa, whoa, whoa.
証拠になるはずです。
Whatever that was, that's pretty powerful.
で、君はこの
Took his cyanide capsule the moment he entered the hallway.
Yeah.
ネガを拡大すればパイロットが誰かわかるはずです。
Didn't they say, like, out loud that it was Judok's plane?
Yeah. Yeah, but he needs proof that what he's saying is true.
君もだ。ここは戦場だ。お前一人死んでも誰も咎めないだろう。それに
Well, I mean, they might, in, like, your office.
お前ごとき子供が何をわめこうと。
まさかと思ったが、あなたが。あなたは。
Oh man, this does feel like an 80s movie.
あなたみたいな人がいるから。
ネガを渡せば殺さんと言いたいところだが、そうはいかん。
He gets hit in the shoulder.
Through the...
アムロ君、
Through the door. Yes.
今のことはすべてビデオに撮っておいた。十分な証拠となる。
いえ。
So Elrin gets taken out by a guy with no eyes?
独房に入っていただきます。
Who shot through the door and hit him right in the shoulder.
Here's the thing.
Not to kill him.
My expectation was that Amuro was going to do another behind the back shot, so...
Oh no, this one is even better. That guy is like the champion of shooting, man. That guy.
君、あとは軍事裁判に任せよう。
はい。
The blind gunman. Actually, he has eyes now.
Here's the thing is I wouldn't trust anybody. I'd be telling everybody what happened here, because what if Elrond had them shoot him in the shoulder just to make it look like he was getting arrested?
Listen, he shot through the door that was closed. They were in the shot, hit him in the
You
shoulder.
remember how we had this conversation about how everything before kind of sets up something? Icelina to Hamon?
Yeah.
Back shot through a blanket to through a door guy. No, I'm just saying that I wouldn't put it beyond Elrond to have him like, oh, shoot me in the shoulder and then escort me to Judok's plane. You know? I would tell like at least 2, 3 other people what's going on.
Well, the more people you tell, the more likely somebody's going to betray you.
Well, again, if I don't trust the people that are on scene, I need more people to know.
幕部軍もレビル軍も持てる物量を最大限に投入しての激突であった。その中でホワイトベースもまた例外ではなかった。
早い。隼人、こんなのが相手じゃガンタンクは歯が
For some reason, I do not suspect that Kai is going to die here. I'll also throw this out. For some reason, I just don't feel like Kai or Hayato are going to die in the show at all. So I will be surprised if they die at some point.
There goes the track again.
Hayato, I may have signed your death warrant. Your death certificate, as it were.
Oh, death warrant because he's not dead yet.
So can the gun tank not split in half anymore?
Oh, there's no one else in the tank, I guess.
Yeah, but it used to be a bottom half, top half sort of situation. Because remember
Yeah,
though, when the tracks,
you
you remember when the tracks got broken way in the past and he split off and he just landed as the top half?
Yeah, but he can't move from there anymore. He just stands there.
Yeah.
That's
But I
the
mean,
whole-
as a last ditch thing. Also, Kika looks real happy about the situation going on. Yeah,
It's Kika. Kika never
all
never
the
misses.
kids.
Yeah.
Also, Miguel is the one who has like the mustache that goes all the way to the middle. Ortega doesn't.
Yeah.
I studied real hard to figure out who killed who in that scene. So I figured out the faces. I guess technically they got Judok. He wasn't in the room, but they left him out in the hallway.
Yeah, they got Judah because when Judah comes out, he says, depending on what this conversation is, you're in big trouble, basically.
Right, but they
So
like
hold him.
when it was just the
I
three
guess
of them in the
somebody-
room with Elrin, Judok wasn't with them.
パターン G 了解どうぞ
Here comes that kick-ass music.
4、3、2、1、0。
I don't really get why. I mean, it seems like it would have been better just to make a jetpack for the Gundam.
Yeah. Yeah.
セイラさんこいつら
I also don't implicitly know why the Doms are better
ホワイトベース着艦します。
than the Goofs, I mean.
OK です被害は
Well, they're supposed to have a better power plant, and more. They're actually designed to be on the combat ground units.
Target here.
合わせ。
格納庫に降りたら前のパーツを外してハヤトのコアファイターに変えます
了解。ドッキング解除セット。急いでね。
The one I'd be most surprised if they died would be Sayla.
ハヤト壊したら承知しないぞわざわざ壊すつもりで出撃するやつがいるもんですか行くぞ
Unless you're
A certain
Unless you're-
generation of men from 1940s Japan.
or Ryu.
幕部軍はエルラン将軍の裏切りを予定して攻撃力を薄くしていたところを第一に突破された。次に2機のモビルスーツドムがガンダムに手間取って前線に参加しなかったために連邦軍の足を止めるべき大きな力を失っていた。
I do like the large land battleships that they have.
マクベにはまだ残された手段があった。
オデッサ作戦の総司令官レビル将軍、聞こえるか？
Just blow up the whole mine.
ここで手を引いてくれねば、我が方は水素爆弾を使う用意がある。無論核兵器を使わぬと約束をした南極。
That's a good thing. I was just thinking that too.
我々も負けたくないのでな。
Trees don't fucking matter if we're about to lose.
レビル将軍は一言も語らなかったという。ただ前進を示すための手を振っただけであると。
Because he would, wouldn't he? Because he's a jerk ass. Oh, we're about to blow the entire up with the hydrogen bombs. Ah, fuck it. I don't care about those guys. Keep going. That's what I mean, though. He's too dedicated to defeating Xeon and not, like, anything else. He obviously doesn't care about the people he's sending out there to die. That was Ortega? Yep, that was Ortega. Glad we got all this backstory and the Black Tri-Stars from Origin. I'm sorry, you being shot at? The missile? Okay, I misunderstood what was going on. I thought they had, like, buried hydrogen bombs in the area.
No.
That's like a self-destruct mechanism.
I mean, he's calling him your bluff if you're gonna do it or not.
It's not a bluff if you're going to do it. It's a bluff
don't know
only if
until it
you're not
happens.
going to do it.
You don't know until it happens.
しかし今さらこれは駆け引きなのだよ。
Also, if I fail here, Cassilia is going to do a lot worse to me than a hydrogen bomb. The explosion will be mercifully quick, unlike whatever the hell she has planned for me. Also, their energy sticks are just funny to me. Like a training kendo staff or something. Hey, it's a thing from the halfway through point. Say it didn't make much sense that it was able to catch up. I would have thought the missile would have been faster than the Gundam.
There's your nuke going off.
Yeah. Sorry, when you said it was going to be a crazy episode, I expected the hydrogen bomb to go off. So that's slightly disappointing. As I said before in the last episode. Oh, never mind. He did just get away.
考えてみろ。我々が送り届けた鉱物資源の量をジオンはあと10年は戦える。
I think they were mining,
Yeah,
what was
but they
it,
don't-
bauxite?
Oh, bauxite and other
No, I mean
minerals.
specifically in this mine.
Yeah,
So I know
bauxite.
I have a map of bauxite mines on Earth, and they are actually very few. So it is a rare metal.
ホワイトベースの少年たち
Well, you make aluminum,
ここに
especially for
親
aircraft.
しくレベル将軍と会見した
Punch him in the face!
Why?
Because he's a jerk. he's a jackass. He literally put everyone's life at risk.
マッドアングラー隊から水陸両用モビルスーツ
But if he hadn't done it,
Right,
then the
new
lives that
suits.
already spent,
ガンダムを倒せと
the lives that were spent would have been for nothing.
そうマッドアングラー隊の指揮官彼こそ機動戦士ガンダム次回
Literally the guy we talked about a few episodes ago.
君は生き延びることができるか
I don't know, man. You're like, it'd be, the lives that died will all be for nothing. Yeah, but then you're going to lose all of them if the nuke goes off.
With the enemy as well. The enemy self-destructing.
Yeah, okay. So at that point, I think the math that you need to do is how many people can you send forwards, and he'll still activate the nuke, while at the same time saving as many lives as possible.
What's the math on that? You don't know. This guy just said, if we're gonna be defeated, I'm gonna launch a nuke. So if you send enough forces to defeat him, right?
Yeah, he said
He's gonna
send
launch a
them
nuke.
all. He did the send them all motion. You know, if you're gonna like say, okay, I'm gonna kill this many of my own men, because that's the math you're doing right now. You don't know if you can stop that hydrogen bomb. So assumedly everyone you send is gonna be a casualty. And you're just trying to win the day, which is say, okay, if they're going to kill all of themselves, I'll take that as a victory, but you should still try to make it as good of a victory, not a Pyrrhic victory, right? You want to win, but still have forces left to fight. So, okay, well, start with half. If I send half of my forces still forwards, is he still going to launch the nuke? What if I send a third of my forces? Are you still going to launch the nuke?
I mean, you got to send enough forces to defeat him.
Yeah, he's already losing. He's on the back foot already, to the point where he's going to nuke himself. So clearly, you're on the victory's path. You don't need to lose everybody but HQ.
We don't know the size of the nuke. I mean, how fast can they pull back and be outside of the nuke's range?
Well, technically, I don't know why they fired a missile into the air. You know what? Just like, boop, blow it up. Boom, we're all dead. You know? It's like, what?
I think the reason why first of all, the nuke would be going to the enemy to attack them, and that would be the impact point. So it does most damage to them. It also gives McQueeve time to escape, which is what he did.
Well, the indication that, God, I'm sorry, I don't remember his name off the top of my head. It's on the board. It starts with a no. I want to say orangutan, but that's wrong. He's like real thick-browed dude, but it starts with an O, and it looks like orangutan when you just look at it with a passive glance. It's probably like oranga something or something, but he even indicated, oh, we won't have time to get away if you launch the nuke. So it's like he already kind of thought he was sacrificing himself. And it was kind of indicated like, oh, I'm going to blow up the whole area. So that's why I thought it was going to be like bombs in the ground. Like, oh, this whole place is sapped already. We're going to blow up the whole place and make sure you don't get it. Scuttle the mine.
That's what the nuke that the only nuke they had, right? I mean,
yeah, well, just being like, don't launch it into the air where it's going to get shot. If you're already, I already thought it was a suicide maneuver, so obviously blow it up in its silo. But even then, you know, maybe just don't. Maybe like launch it a foot into the air so that it falls onto the ground and then drive away from it. You know, I don't
know. For maximum damage, it has to be airborne.
Well,
because
yeah, but we're not counting on maximum damage at this point. We just want it to work. And then, I know because the nuke explodes over the ground, and the concussive wave and everything blossoms across the ground and expands wider that way. But it will still be effective, not as effective, but it will still be more effective, in fact, than getting shot down from the air if it goes off anywhere.
Again, we don't know. They say a nuke, but we don't know the yield of the nuke or something like that. In fact, that looked kind of like a cruise missile, so probably it's no more than 50.
I don't know. That's bigger than a cruise missile. I can't compare it to like an actual intercontinental ballistic missile because I don't have anything in the area. I guess technically it was bigger than the Gundam, right?
Yeah.
So we know it's over 18 meters, which is, I think, well, that might be an intercontinental ballistic missile then, as depicted by the size of the silos that they're usually depicted in, say, movies and such.
Let me see. Minuteman size. 59 feet or 18 meters. Yeah. That's a Minuteman.
A Delta 9 missile silo is 80 feet deep.
But the missile itself, and Minuteman 3 is 18 meters, so about the size of a Gundam. Yeah.
Yeah, well, here's the ironic thing. A Delta 9 missile silo is for the Minuteman, so the silo it sits in is 80 meters deep.
Yeah, because they have to have clearance below so that the rocket doesn't destroy itself.
I was entrenched in doing my little research. How big did you say it was?
18 meters.
Oh, so, well, that one looked bigger than the Gundam, so that one was bigger than a Minuteman. So it is average American nuclear missile payload, I guess.
So about 100 kilotons, give or take.
Actually, I think the standard is lower than that. That is closer to the standard of old Soviet missiles, which were less, well, I would say less missiles, but then they started building more, and we had about the same amount.
They were less accurate.
Well, I want to say that the average payload is like 30 to 40 kilotons.
No, that would be way small. If it's a
I mean, that is the average. We have a lot of smaller missiles now than instead of the early buildup, which was a lot of larger payloads.
Because 30 kilotons would be pretty small. Yeah,
the yield varies for tactical nuclear weapons for a fraction of a kiloton to approximately 50 kilotons. In comparison, a strategic nuclear weapon has a yield of from 100 kilotons to over a megaton.
So if it's about the size of a megaton or bigger, it'll be, I was right, about 100 kilotons, not megatons. No weapon that has been known to man has been more than 50 megatons. And that was the Tsar Bomba. And that was actually scaled back, so it wouldn't be bigger. But yeah.
I don't know. I guess the difference here is the difference between a tactical nuke and a strategic nuke. And
if it's a tactical nuke, it could be as little as 5 kilotons.
Well, again, the average of the nuclear payload of the American arsenal that I've heard over the years has been the average missile is like in the 30 to 40 kiloton range, which would imply that the American arsenal is more on the tactical range, which then also, I guess, goes towards you ever watch Kyle Hill's videos? Oh, he's a YouTube science educator who also does a lot of Magic the Gathering. But he also goes on at length about how Hollywood and everything over-exaggerates the size of nuclear explosions in movies based on the average actual payloads of actual missiles that are in use, or at least in storage or whatever. Which then again would imply that most of our arsenal is on tactical size, so you don't want to nuke the entire fucking Earth with a bunch of strategic hits.
Yeah. But usually also when you use strategic missiles, you launch multiple missiles on one target.
Well, you're talking like using MIRVs.
Yeah. So you would saturate the area with larger warheads to take a level.
Preferably, you wouldn't do any of this. But,
yes. But if you got to do it.
Yeah. I'm saying, I'm not arguing that we don't have 100 kiloton warheads. I'm just saying that the majority, to my recollection.
I'm thinking that this is just, because this episode was all over the place, right? They were practicing, but they were going to attack. That was the plan. But then they saw the spy who conveniently left at that moment in that little plane and never got challenged by anybody at any point. That must have been a regular occurrence of him flying back and forth, right? He lands. They lands like, hey, they point going to the Amuro. It's like, oh no, I'm here because I saw a plane coming in. Can I talk to the general? Like, okay, sure. They grab the other guys. Like, depending what he says inside, you'll get to live or die, basically. And then there's a conversation. The guy shoots an Amuro, misses. The guy immediately shoots, well, kind of like short through the door, hits a guy on the shoulder. And he was like, "Oh yeah, we have it all on video. You can go now." Like, I want it. You should get. Was like, doesn't matter. Go, kid. And that's it. The whole spy thing got resolved in ridiculous manner. He flies back. There's a fight. He kills the TriStar guys relatively easy, right? Like they didn't put much of a fight.
I mean, they did. They did put up a lot of a fight, in fact.
And then
ineffectually, but they did put up a fight. Don't gotta give them credit. I mean. They were the best fighting unit that we've seen so far.
Mm-hmm. And then he just slices his missile away, like it was something out of a 1990s action film. Right?
Again, they caught up to it like immediately.
Yeah.
So I guess it was one of those things where the missile moves incredibly slowly when it's starting off, and then gets faster as it goes. I mean, technically, it's kind of how it works, but you have your stronger thrust in the beginning. And then you have less thrust moving forwards because it's typically inertia moving you forwards at that point. But again, I guess if the core fighter, the half core fighter, half G fighter thing,
flies incredibly fast while carrying a Gundam.
Yeah, I don't know. You said it'd be crazy, and I was thinking, oh, what'd be craziest thing happening right now? Kira survived a nuke to the face. Maybe this is Amuro's chance. Maybe that's where they get it from. Oh, nope, nothing. Just fell to the ground. It's dead.
The fact that the nuke didn't explode by itself because it got cut, that actually is kind of realistic because nukes are designed to resist a lot of impacts, so they don't go off like that. It's
a whole detonation mechanism on the inside, specifically designed around a designated atmospheric level or height above sea level or whatever. Because again, as you already discussed, there's a preferential level above the ground that you want to explode in. Same thing for fire bombs.
So, and if it really, really Hollywood was like, oh yeah, I shut it down, and it just explodes again, the whole thing, Hollywood.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. It wouldn't explode if you just shot it. At worst, you'd have radioactive material exposed to the air, but I mean, even that would be like at a distance, so you'd still probably be fine.
There'll be a patch of ground that.
I mean, technically, that's what should be wherever that thing landed. But then again, the thing about nukes is that they're so. The word I was used is ineffective. They're so. What's the word? Come on, brain.
Over engineered?
No. They are so not unreliable. The amount of nuclear material you put into a nuke is not the same amount of nuclear material that happens during the explosion. The amount of fissile material used in a nuclear explosion is like 1% or 0.1% of the actual material used. So even, I guess actually that would go to the counter of what I was actually about to say. When that thing exploded and like spread out its fissile material in whatever range of radius of its explosion, there would be a lot of that hanging around. So people be getting cancer, I guess, but not really much of a not really much of a threat of it just blowing up because you cut it off. All right. Well, anything else you want to add before we wrap up this episode?
No. I mean, well, the thing about this episode, and I think also, Chris, is that this is something that we've been building up for episode after episode. Oh, the Battle of Odessa, Operation Odessa. And then when it happens, it feels very rushed. Like, oh, we're going to have a nuke. We're going to have this mech fight. And we're going to have the spies. And we're going to have this. It's like, oh, okay.
Well, yeah, literally the majority of it happened with a cut of Amuro's face and then a shot of a bunch of fighters in the air.
Yeah. So, and a few tanks on the ground and stuff like that.
To be fair, though, you said we've been building up to it. We really haven't. It's just been this thing that got mentioned in the background of a couple of episodes. Like, even I think I mentioned it in one of my notes that they they mentioned Odessa Day is on the horizon. It's like them mentioning that Odessa Day is on the horizon is the first time we've heard about Odessa Day.
Yeah, but they're mentioning operation and also plans that the Federation has, and you shouldn't attack that base because it's going to ruin it.
It literally goes from one of my notes was literally about the Federation forces are gathering in Europe, and I said, "Oh, there must be something about to happen in Europe or something like that," and then episodes down the road, without ever mentioning it ever again, Odessa Day is right on the horizon. It's like, is that the thing happening in Europe? We've never literally put any of these two things together. So yeah, it didn't feel as rushed in that it only felt like it was a thing that was about to happen like the last 4 episodes for me.
No, but in the episode itself, everything felt rushed because you have the thing with the spy. And, because normally if you were going to talk about
the narrator
spy,
spoiled it for us.
Yeah, but the thing is also, if you're going to deal with a spy, something like that would have been a bigger thing. Like, this is a guy who's in the command structure, like a general that's right.
Yeah, it should have been its own episode.
Its own episode, and the revenge thing with now they're the bi-stars, I suppose, because one of them was dead.
So no, they're all dead.
Yeah, I know, but when they attack Amuro, they were the bi-stars, not the tri-stars.
I think you're really hard pushing this joke.
Yes. Anyway, I mean, I don't know personally. I don't know the personal lives.
I mean, anyway, I do have redneck accents. I know that part about them.
Yeah. So that would be another fight, right? And then the battle of this itself would have been its own thing. Right?
I feel like you're pushing for a 3-episode thing, and I think a 2-episode thing would have been fine for me. 1 episode for the spy, and then we use the spy to trick McQueeve and everything. Like, oh yeah, they're gonna do this, and we feed them false information, and that sets us up for a real easy victory because McQueeve doesn't know that the whole spy thing has been falling through. And then 1 episode of fighting, and that should be fine.
You can have the whole battle of this in the background, like, it starts in 1 episode and it ends in the other. So yeah, I can see that. Not the focus. The focus.
Oh no! I mean, like literally only the spy stuff we handled in 1 episode.
Yeah,
Then we handle Odessa, the fight itself, using the false information from the previous spy episode. Like, we've crafted ourselves a way to win in 1 episode's time by having the spy episode be its own thing. And then, hell, maybe have a 3rd episode where we handle the nuke. We'll call it, I don't know, Time Be Still.
Yeah. That's a pretty good episode title.
Yeah, we'll just have a bunch of guys in a truck drive up and throw, like, plastic explosive on it or something.
I mean, I'm sure Babblefish. What was Babel? Never mind. Babblefish is something different.
Yeah, that's a translation service.
Yes. Anyway, that was it.
All right.
Cram into 1.
All right, well, that has been this episode. Once again, I have been Theta. This has been Lessons. We've been Stoneface Reactions, and we will catch you next time. Bye-bye.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching another Stoneface Reactions. If you have an idea of another video we could go ahead and watch, go ahead and put it in the comments down below and we'll add it to the wheel. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe and let us know what you thought about this video and what parts you liked. And until then, we'll see you next time. Is this too goofy?